The best time to cultivate, if you've got the luxury of choosing the best time, usually it's whenever you better get her done because between rains. But let's say your crop is growing, okay, and it comes out of the ground before everything else, because you got to remember a soybean seed's pretty big. It's got a lot of food in that soybean seed. And corn, kernel corn's got a lot of food. Not too many weed seeds are that big. Cucumber, you know, but and cucumbers can grow as fast as your crop too. But most weeds, they've got a disadvantage. It's like you and I going for a hiking trip, and we're going to go hiking, and I decide I'm not going to take a backpack. Don't need one. You're going to take apples and oranges and sandwiches and your sports drink and everything, and so you just start out hiking. Well, guess what I got to start doing? Within just hours, I got to find a spring or a source of water somewhere, so I may have to walk way over there instead of keeping on the trail. And so you're going to get way, way ahead of me, okay? But eventually when I get my water jug full and when I get, you know, some food found and stuff, I can start gaining on you because I'm indigenous to the area. I mean, the weeds, and they've been bred up over the years through natural selection to be really thrifty in this soil, where soybeans were from Asia, I believe, and corn, you know, may be more indigenous to this area. But anyhow, my point is that when that corn and beans come out of the ground, it should outgrow everything in the field, unless you know, have a situation where maybe it didn't get planted correctly. But normally these agronomic seeds today will jump out of the ground and outgrow most every weed except maybe a cucumber, a morning glory, and a giant ragweed. So they get way ahead. But then what happens is they're growing still, so are the weeds. But that distance is closing. Now they're stage 3 weeds. Now they're stage 4 weeds. Okay, before that distance started to close the day before is when you should cultivate. That's the best time, because you got the most variable between how much dirt the weeds can take and how much dirt the soybeans or corn can take. Usually after you get done with the last rotary hoeing, you're looking at a week, 2 weeks for your first cultivation, ideally.
And then second cultivation?
Yeah. Second cultivation, that's a very good question. The second cultivation, you want to get through those soybeans when you can still get through them, but it's close to row closure. So you cultivate the middles out, the rows, canopy, the weeds are history. You're done.
And so you're using a different implement. You're not using that same cultivator.
For plowing out the centers, rather than having to, you know, adjust that cultivator, we use a single sweep cultivator. It's simple to adjust. Anybody can run it, and so we just use a single sweep. We've got an Orthman, but there's the Buffalo, the Hennekers. There's lots of different brands that have a single sweep. They were designed for the ridge-till years, and they work wonderful for that process. The beans were only about this tall when we cultivated them first time, and what I tell people is when you cultivate the second time, you want to get the weeds the first time. If you don't, then you keep throwing dirt up, and pretty soon you get clods up here like this, and pretty soon you got a bean right there. See, you got a pod right there, and you don't want to get your dirt up higher than your pods. Now some beans pod lower than others, and I don't know whether it's genetic or whether it's just the year. But the first cultivating, when the beans are really small, you can throw as much dirt as you can throw, and your beans are going to pot above the height of your dirt. But if you go trying to kill weeds, which you can't, all you do is put a cast around them. You don't cover them up. You just make it look good because you push the weeds over closer to the row, and then you can see down the row, and it makes it look like your beans are cleaner, and they're not. But what you do is get the weeds the first cultivation. Then the second cultivation, you clean out the centers. Okay, you know, we threw enough soil to cover up the weeds and grass pretty close into the row. We got a few very small ones that'll never have any, won't even make seed. Got some late coming grass here that'll never make any seed. And this field was, it had a fair amount of grass in this area of the field.